be the network to be in for conscious female entrepreneurs.
Hello, 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 gorgeous souls. We are here inside Words Are Spells for the second transmission. I have to ask you, did anyone notice that wink a little bit extra today? Did you feel that energy with me that I shared yesterday? It's like, oh yeah, wink, we're coming in. We're diving into a little bit of magic here. Also, hello, hello. I'm gonna have to say hello, Joanna, the first person who said hi here today. You guys, Joanna is literally, I'm in the jungle. Joanna is like right here beside me in the jungle, like not right beside, but it's here for my in-person experience that's happening next week. And so it just feels so fun to start off this call, seeing you here. And hello, Hannah and Andrew and Stephanie and all your beautiful faces that I see. Dimple, love that. I know it's so fun. As soon as I saw you pop on, I was like, ooh, jungle vibes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we are going to dive straight in today. We're going to follow similar format energy that we did with the power of and today dropping into the power or the frequency of get to. And it doesn't matter if you have tuned into the power of and yet or not. In the beginning of the power of and, I did share a bit more about the frequency of words are spells. And so we're going to dive straight into the get to frequency today. I'll deliver, I'll share a transmission. We'll invite some of you up if you have any questions, if you want any deepening or mentorship around the get to frequency, which I know will serve the collective. And then we'll complete with an energy clearing and activations that when we leave this space today, that you have that get to frequency fully activated. So wild to be in your time zone. Well, okay, let's go. Let's get started. So what is the get to frequency all about? And again, remember yesterday I shared like words carry a frequency, and it's so interesting that a lot of the words that I'll bring into Words Are Spells are these words that are like 3 letters. It's like this short word that we don't typically give much meaning to. But what happens when we do? When you bring intention to just experience the word, what happens for you? And so I'm going to invite you to take a moment here just to receive. Close your eyes if you want to, and see if you notice a different feeling in your essence, in your being, in your body, as I share these words in this way. So take a breath here, landing fully in this space, shutting out the outside noise, dropping out of any should, have to. What happens when you decide you get to? You get to be the one. You get to do it. You get to do it your way. You get to put you first. You get to allow it to not make sense. You get to say no. You get to say yes. You get to make no a full sentence. You get to make yes a full sentence. No explanation, just you get to. You get to binge watch Netflix if you want to. You get to stay up until 4 a.m. if you want to. You get to go to bed at 8 p.m. if you want to. You get to be part of the 5 a.m. club. You get to sleep to whatever time you want to. You get to, as long as you don't make it mean anything about you or who you are or what you're available for. You get to in alignment with your truth. You get to, and you get to receive when it's in alignment with your truth. How does that feel? How does get to feel for you? For me, get to dismantles the illusion of have to. It dismantles the illusion of need to. It dismantles the energy of should. I get to. I get to because I want to. I get to because I choose to. I get to because nobody else's wisdom is greater than mine. Nobody else is the way. I am the way. It feels yummy, empowering, freeing, giving myself permission. It feels like relief. Oh my gosh, I get to tell my clients no and yes is a full sentence. Yes, get to. Opening my eyes, like the tension is gone. I am the way. This is the frequency of truth. This is the frequency of power, recognizing that you are the way, recognizing that you get to choose, recognizing that you decide, recognizing that you give meaning to things, you give energy to things, recognizing that you get to in whatever way you desire to, without any outside interference. And your get to doesn't need to make sense to anyone but you. Your get to at times may not even make sense to you when you go beyond like the human mind of what you think's available for and what you think a good girl would desire. Like if you live in the realm of I get to, you get to play in the field of potentiality. You get to access the quantum because you're removing limitation from your energy field. Limitation that's created when we bring in should energy, have to energy, should energy, I think I said again, should energy, have to energy, need energy, must energy. What happens if that energy doesn't exist in your world? What happens if there's no need to? What happens if there's no have to? What happens if there's no should? What happens if there's no must? Now, some of the things that I just gave you permission to do or not do when we were here tuning in, it's like you get to do it if it feels yes vibes for you, in alignment for you, in truth frequency for you. If you're using the example that I said, like you get to binge watch Netflix all night, and if you're using that to create a distortion and you start to tell yourself, well, Jack said I can binge watch Netflix all day every day and still receive. That is not what I'm saying. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. So let's say you, again, get to in alignment with truth. This is what we're talking here. So let's say you want to write a book and you then spend 4 hours every night watching Netflix, staying up till 2 a.m. in order to avoid getting up at 6 a.m. to write your book. Let's say, you know, that 6 a.m. window, like that's where your creativity flows. And you're like, well, I get to because I want to, but you're using it to avoid, you're using it to step outside. That's not true get to frequency. That's you in avoidance frequency, not aligned in the frequency of truth. But it also may not be aligned for you to set your alarm every day for at 6 a.m. and decide, I am never allowed to watch Netflix if I don't have this book finished. Like that might also create restriction in your energy field. That's also not a true get to frequency. So we get to flow, we get to dance, we get to honor our truth, not in avoidance, not in a resistance, but just simply get to. I get to, as long as I don't make it mean anything about you. And of course, today I will use the example of Netflix because I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story which some of my clients have already heard before because I've shared this story and it's always a funny story when I share it. But in 2019, I had just entered Melanie's world, and my business partner and I at the time, towards the end of 2019, was like, 2020 is going to be our first $1 million year. And then kind of out of nowhere, a few days before Christmas, my mother-in-law offered to take my son. We live in the West Coast of Canada. She lives on the East Coast. All my family lives on the East Coast. And she's like, I'll take your son back to the East Coast for like a week or 10 days and he can like hang out with his cousins and blah, blah, blah. And then my son was like, well, I'm not going without Sloan, his sister. So then all of a sudden, both of my kids were going to be gone for like 10 days. And I had just had this like vision. I was like, I'm going to like start end 2019 with a bang, start 2020 with a bang. Like I'm going to have no kids for 10 days. I was like, I'm going to like be off to the races with this, $1 million year because like now I have all this time. Do you want to know what I did for 10 days? Like literally for 10 days. My husband and I made a fort in our living room by the fireplace. I did not sleep in my bed once, and I watched the entire, I had never watched it before, the entire, however many seasons it is, of Game of Thrones. Now, was this the best use of my time when I said I wanted to have $1 million a year? Likely not. And I get to, and I get to not make it mean anything about me. It felt good to just like, honestly, cuddle with my husband and have chats and fall asleep in the middle of the day and get up and watch another episode. And truly, I believe that actually set me up for what came the next year, because I was so rested going into, I was rested and I had like dragon energy, you know, Game of Thrones. But the thing is, if I would have chosen that and then decided, oh my God, no other entrepreneur does this. No other successful 7-figure business owner does this. Like, you suck. You're a dump of a human. You don't know what you're doing. Like, how could you ever expect that you can now grow a business and lead anyone because you just spent 10 days watching Game of Thrones? Like, get a freaking life. Get back into like reality. Like, now you've just wrecked your whole next year because of what you chose. I chose what I chose. And then by not making it mean anything about me, I got to create from there. Now, I will tell you that January was a 10K month. So, $1 million vibes, January was a 10K month. I also got to not make that mean anything about me or where I was going to go the rest of that year. I'm not going to take you through the entire year. I did not have $1 million year, but I had a quantum leap. I went from a $128,000 a year to a $958,000 a year. I was just shy of the 7-figure year. And I watched Game of Thrones. And I got to, and I didn't make it mean anything. Now, again, if I did this in the frequency of avoidance and did this all year long in order to not go live, in order to not deliver my programs, in order to not speak who I am, share my voice, that wouldn't be get to frequency. But get to frequency just simply means I get to do what I want in any given moment and not make it mean anything, not carry energy forward beyond that. When we make it mean something, we take it out of the get to frequency. Joanna is asking, is that the year you hit 1 million? Yeah. So didn't have the $1 million year, $958,000 year, and hit, I think it was like January 7th, from like January 7th to January 7th, it was $1 million year. It wasn't the calendar year of January 1st to December 31st, but it was $1 million, 365 days right after the Game of Thrones situation. Now, I call it the situation, like, it just is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if I operate and get to, but as soon as we put in these blocks because we're like, oh, I did something bad. I did something I'm not supposed to. I didn't follow the rules. Every other guru says, if you want to have a successful business, you have to do this, and you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and you have to do blah, 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 blah. I will tell you, anytime I'm following a checklist like this, it takes me out of get to frequency. It brings me into, there's a formula, there's a way that works, and there's a way that doesn't work. Some people, 5 a.m. club, so aligned for you, like, have at it, do it till the day you die, let it work for you. And if it doesn't, don't force yourself. Don't fall into the trap of the shoulds. Don't make it mean anything. Again, notice there's a difference between get to and resistance, but there is not one right way. There's your way, and following your truth and operating in your essence and energy of power. You know, we talked about this a bit in the power of and combining this get to frequency and the and frequency. Like, I get to desire all the things that I desire. I get to have it all. I get to have my cake and eat it too. I get to attract money and love. I get to run a successful business and have an abundance of time with my family. I want to ask you right now, where do you tell yourself the opposite of this, that you don't get to? Where do you tell yourself that you must, that you need to, that you should? For those of you who are live here, I'd love for you to give me some examples. Where do you not let yourself operate in the frequency of get to? Let's break this down. I get to have everything, but not at the same time. Okay. Let's see what else comes up here. Okay. So there's no self-care here until the work is done. So not in get to frequency. I operate from this frequency for my social media and sometimes get in my head that I'm not doing enough. I've been waking up at 11 and sleeping at 3. My channel opens up when, this message moved on me, when the sun sets. And while I've been crushing it, I've been holding slight guilt for waking up late. Okay. This energy right here. It's like, where then do I hang on to guilt or shame or this or that? Instead of like what I hear in your message, like, this is powerful. Like, I get to create in the middle of the night. I get to, like, we all have different creative flows. And so anytime we put restriction in because somebody tells you you're supposed to go to bed at this time and wake up at this time, like, that is man-made. Like, a human being made that up. And yes, you could argue the like following the rhythms and natures and when the sun sets and when the sun rises. I mean, I will tell you, I know plenty of humans that have their most creative urges, their most creative writing, that they have come up with the most brilliance of ideas in the pitch black, in the 4 a.m. club, at 3 a.m. in the morning, when it's like there's no outside noise, there's no interference. It's like you and God guiding through you. Now, if that happens, and then the next day you're like, oh gosh, but now again, I'm a dump of a human. Now I'm not going to be successful at life because I'm sleeping and it's 11 a.m. Like, that's just some bullshit somebody made up. What else is there? I cannot sell without my live energy being involved. I should have a job until my income levels up. When I make my list for the day, there are should instead of get to. I get to have anything, but I need to pay for it. I can't make a cup of tea without making others one first. I get to slow down when I hit the next milestone. Oh my gosh, we got to stop at this one because this is one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves. And this creates so much interference in God being able to deliver to you. So if you tell yourself, well, I'm just going to sacrifice now until this, it's like, well, then that pathway to success is rooted in an energy of something you don't want to code in for yourself. And so here's the thing with things that we're choosing to do, choose it with your being, choose it with your power versus saying, I have to, I need to, I should. And so if you're going to choose if you're going to choose to like be full throttle, then say, hey, I'm choosing to be full throttle, not I have to or need to or should. I'm choosing it. Choosing, and I know that this might just sound like a slight play on words, but I promise you, when you tune into the frequency of get to, which we're going to do in this activation, it makes a world of difference. You can take something that you like, let's look at something outside of you. How many people here, let's do a little raise of hands or say yes in the comments. How many of you will say, I have to pay my taxes? Yeah, and maybe take it to, I have to pay my taxes and I have to pay my taxes on time, or just I have to pay my taxes. Yes, 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 yes. Does anyone know somebody who hasn't paid their taxes? Does anyone believe that there's people in the world who don't pay their taxes? Yes, sure. So, tons, yeah. So is it absolute truth that you have to pay your taxes? No. Must file them? Not actually true. Not necessarily. It's optional. So here's the thing. We tell ourselves these lies. We say, I should, I have to, I need to, I must, and it's not actually true. You could not pay your taxes. There may be consequences. You may go to jail. You may whatever, but that's also, you could choose not to. You could choose, I'm willing to go to jail. So you don't have to. It's not rooted in absolute truth. You could also move to a country where you don't have to pay taxes. Like, there's options here. There's choices that you could make. Now, if you are making a choice to live in a country and you're making a choice to pay taxes, then don't distort the frequency. Bring it into, I've chosen this. Remain in your power around it. The get to have some people shared here, grateful for paying my taxes because that also represents that I'm making money. There are very, very limited things that we truly have to do, but we often tell ourselves that we do. And that, again, just distorts the frequency. It allows us to buy into illusions such as need. And when we bring everything back to a place of I get to, and I choose to, we access a powerful frequency, our deciding. I don't know why this example is coming up for me, but it is. My son's 11 and he's a huge basketball fan. And I took him recently. We went and to a basketball game, and there was, well, I was like, am I gonna share all the details? I'm gonna share all the details because there's probably different parts of the story. But we went to see these two teams play, and seeing the one team, there's this basketball player and his name is Ja Morant. And I'm gonna say I fell in love with this basketball player. I'm not even a huge basketball fan, and I didn't like fall in love with him, but watching him play was just like fascinating. His power and his strength and his speed. Like I was like, oh, like this guy. And then since then, he's been getting in a little bit of hot water from the NBA because he's doing some celebrations that they don't really agree with. And so first they gave him a warning, don't do that. And then he did it the next game again, celebrated in the way that they told him not to do. And then he paid a fine because he celebrated in the way that they told him not to do. And then the next game, he came up with a new celebration that got judged and criticized and also not really liked. And why this is an example of get to frequency, he has decided that people don't get to tell him how he celebrates, even if that means he may get kicked out of the NBA. Like he has a choice here. Get to frequency. Yes, sometimes there's going to be things that there's outside consequences for. It's still a choice. You still get to decide. And the thing is, other people might not get it. Other people will disagree with you. I will tell you, I like this player. I still like this player. You know, I like that he is just standing in conviction and he's willing to celebrate the way that he wants to celebrate. And many people would disagree with me on this. Many people would say, but he's a role model for children. He's a role model for your child. Like he is like shooting guns up in the air. That's his celebration. Like that's not right. Guess what? I get to have my opinion. They get to have their opinion. Get to frequency also allows multiple truths to coexist. What if there is no right or wrong? Just I get to, I get to, I get to, I get to, and that gets to be it. And I get to let you have your opinion, and I get to have my opinion, and I don't need to convince you, and you don't need to convince me. We create a frequency of freedom. Now, I'm using a random weird basketball example, but let's bring this into life. Let's bring this into our business. I get to speak the truth of what I believe, what I know on the internet, and I get to have people who don't get it. I get to have people who disagree with me. I get to not make it mean anything about me, but I get to continue to show up day after day after day, sharing my truth, being who I am, even if that means people try to cancel me. Like I get to use my social media platform in the way I desire to use my social media platform. And again, reminder, when I'm operating in the frequency of truth. We bring the distortion here. If it's like, well, I just get to do whatever I want and blah, 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 because Jack said I get to. You get to when you operate in the frequency of truth. This is what's powerful. You get to do you, I get to do me. And when I operate in this energy of you get to do you and I get to do me from a frequency of truth, then your experience of me is truly none of my business. I'm true to me. You stay true to you. That's where we create magic in the world. When we each operate in our own get to frequency, because get to, again, removes the need. Get to removes there's only one way type of energy. We get to move together and we also get to move apart. If that's the way we go, we get to move in the same direction. We get to move in opposite directions. There's no rules within this. Let's see what's coming up here. So true, we get to decide. I get to, even if. I love that so much. Thank you for this powerful reminder. Okay, let's see who has a question that they want to come up. Can you please expand on frequency of truth? Yes, I can. And then if anybody wants to come up, just raise your hands or say me. The frequency of truth. Where to begin within this? I'm just seeing the hands up too in the signs. Okay, the frequency of truth means that I'm listening to the soul voice within me. So the frequency of truth does not operate up here in our mind. It's not what I think is correct, what I think is right. It's what I know to be true in here. It's moving with the essence, the divine essence that lives within me. And so what's true for me gets to be true for me. I'm also a human being here. I'm a soul being having a human experience. And so truth also gets to grow and evolve. And so this is why it's powerful to say my truth and your truth can coexist. Multiple truths get to coexist because my truth, if I'm being honest, my truth today isn't the same as what my truth was 5 years ago. My truth grows and evolves. And so me operating in my frequency of truth, operating in integrity is like, I am willing to be true to what I feel today. And that truth, again, can grow and evolve and change, but it doesn't make the truth of this now moment wrong or less than. What if my truth impacts someone else negatively? So here's the thing within this is that your truth may trigger people. Your truth may not feel comfortable for other people, but if it's truth, it's truth. Truth doesn't harm somebody else because the truest frequency is the frequency of love. And so other people are also on their human experience, their soul journey. And so, yes, we're here living in a world where we're going to be triggered, where we're going to experience pain. But knowing that I'm operating from my truth, if I say something that you disagree with, if I say something that offends you, if I say something that again, that doesn't resonate as true for you, the more that I'm in my power and willing to allow you to have your truth as well, the frequency, the collective frequency gets to expand. Okay, let's see. We've got Sonja up first, and then we've got a bunch of hands, but I also know after Sonja, Tiffiney had asked to come up, and then, okay, so Tiffany's hands up as well. Okay, so we got Sonja, Dimple, Tiffiney, Rosalind, Shakti. Okay, perfect.
Oh, thank you. Hi. I finally get to ask you something about receiving. I mean, that's been weeks.
It's okay, hold on. Before you ask about receiving, is it in connection with the get to frequency? Hands raised
Yes.
are all in the get to frequency conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like you to speak about I get to receive and the time and the freedom and the money and the love and all the things. So that's more the I get to connection to receive.
Yes. So this for me is actually quite simple, and I'm happy to go deeper within it if you want. But for me, it's I get to because I get to. I get to receive because I'm a child of God, a child of the universe, a child of nature. I get to because I believe as divine beings, we are literally born to receive. And I get to receive without creating any interference. I don't tie my receiving frequency with anything else. So there's no formula here. There's no, because I did this, now I get to receive. There's no, I give, now I get to receive. There's no, I've done this, now I get to receive. It's simple. I get to receive. I get to receive always and all the ways. I also get to give in the ways that I desire to give. I get to do in the aligned doing, but there's this giving channel, this doing channel, this receiving channel, and they don't intertwine. So I get to receive because I get to receive. And that's it. I'm worthy of receiving. I desire to receive. I get to receive. We distort it when we try to take it to our mind and figure out, but I haven't done this yet. And other people have done this. And so that's why they've gotten to receive. It's just like we open up our receiving channels. We open up our receiving channels when we honor our yeses and nos. When I say yes to the things that light my soul on fire and say no to the things that don't. So remember at the beginning of this conversation, I get to say yes and I get to say no. Every time I say yes to the things I want to say yes to, I open up my receiving channel. Every time I say no to the things that I want to say no to, I open up my receiving channel. Every time I say no to something I want to say yes to because fear kicks in, this is what happens to my receiving channel. It closes. Every time I say yes to something that I want to say no to because I'm people pleasing, this is what happens to my receiving channel. So when I'm in my truth, when I'm owning who I am, when I'm honoring my yeses and nos, my receiving channel does this. We're natural receivers until we create interference in the receiving frequency.
Okay, thank you. How did you, as a predictor 4-6, how did you decondition yourself from I get to receive only if XYZ, I get to have time only XYZ, I get to get the money only if I did XYZ?
So for
That's a big deconditioning.
So how I decondition this, it's like all through awareness. So it's like, if I know that's not true, then I look at, and this is the way I word it to myself. I'm like, then I'm willing to look at the lies I tell myself. So I sit in awareness. It's like, okay, am I going to believe that lie today or am I not? Am I going to make a move based on that lie today or am I not? And I use the word lie because lie feels like a powerful frequency. Am I willing to continue to lie to myself? No. So if I'm not willing to continue to lie to myself, then when I have that thought, I shift it in an instant. When I say, oh, you can't do this until you've done that, I'm like, let's switch it up. Let's do the opposite and then see what happens. And so I go through the process of it in a sense of like, anything that I tell myself is an absolute truth that I know is not. It's like I'm willing to call myself out on the lie. And then I choose in alignment with what I desire to experience and desire to create.
Yeah, you get to choose. Beautiful.
And not even I get to choose, like I do choose. It's not in this like I get to choose, it's like I choose. I choose in the moment and I choose from a place of power and I choose from a place of knowing.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Dimple. Oh, I can't hear you.
There we go. Can you hear me?
I can.
Amazing. Nice to see you. And I really want to swing on that hammock that's behind you. I just want to say that.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
It's so, it's like a tease. Teasing us with the hammock.
Well, do you know what's going to be an even bigger tease when I'm going to just for you, I'm going to take a picture of Joanna in that hammock next year or next week.
Thanks for that. Enjoy it, Joanna. Enjoy it. You get to enjoy it on me. So, and the pool, yes, and the pool. So piggybacking from that last question, I understand the get to, I understand here, and what I find happens is that I get entangled in the moment of a trigger, for example, right? Or I get entangled in an old paradigm, an old story that is a lie. It's a complete lie, but it's
Yeah.
an entanglement, and sometimes it's not even mine, honestly, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you catalyze that so that, you know, it happens less and less, is what I'm saying, because I feel the receivership channel close.
Yeah. So one thing within this, it's again connects back to like my sense is that it's like something that it makes it mean. So I know earlier you were like, I don't get to like make my own tea before I make a tea for someone else. So what's beyond that get to that creates that distortion? Well, then I'm not a good girl or I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. Like there's something tied within that when we can see that element, it's like, oh, wait, I'm doing this for something that doesn't even resonate as true for me, but it's like I've just been in this like conditioned realm of I need to, I have to. This makes like it's whatever we identify within that. And so okay, we're gonna go back to the basketball game. So back to this basketball game that I took my son to. So there was the Warriors playing the Grizzlies, and we got a new puppy. last fall before this basketball game and literally named our dog off of like the player on the Warriors, Stephen Curry. And my son and I like literally like spent 2 or 3 nights like making this like huge sign and this huge poster that was like, we were sitting courtside. So I was like, we are getting Stephen Curry to like sign your jersey. Like that was his like thing that he wanted. And so we made this poster and we get there and we're in the lineup and the guy comes on. He's like, that poster's too big. You can't take it in. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, you can't take it in. It's too big. I'm like, who says there's a size of the poster? And he's like, yeah, you can't take it in. And I was like, okay. But I was like, can I just like, are you going to take it from me? He's like, no, you can try. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try. Then I got up to the door and I got through. And after I got through, this lady like chases me down and she's like, ma'am, you can't bring this poster. And I was like, really? Why? Like they just let me in. And she's like, no, it's too big. It has to fit within this. And so then I asked her why. I'm someone who doesn't like rules for the sake of rules. I was like, why? And she's like, well, it's just too big. And I was like, well, like too big for what? Well, she's like, well, if you hold it up, it's going to block people behind you. I was like, okay, I can get that. And I was like, look, I just want to use it during like pregame. Like you can take it from me. I'm sitting courtside. You can take it from me like after that. And she's like, no, can't let it in. Like rules are rules. So then I was like, okay. And I was like, well, what if I just rip it in half? And she's like, what? And I was like, what if I just rip it in half? Like then I'm going to have 2 signs, but they're going to be within size. And my son's like, you can't just rip it in half. And I like just ripped it in half and we took it in and, had it sitting courtside and Stephen Curry came over and signed my son's jersey. And then the sign went under my seat and never got brought out again. Like, so I'm operating in a place where I get to, and I choose to. Now, if I would have held it up all game in front of other people, that's not me operating in a get to frequency. That's me. I mean, to be honest, like that to me is like asshole frequency.
Yes.
So like, so I get to frequency is like, I get to not follow the rules, but follow the, you know what I mean? Like I get to, I get to make things work. I get to be creative. I get to find ways to get what I want. But operating from, like, I also knew when I chose to do that, that I wasn't going to impact somebody else. But I wasn't also just going to do things because like that's what we're taught to do. And so again, might be a weird example in connection with what you asked, but that sense of like, we just so automatically follow things or don't question things or because it's habit or because that's what we've seen our parents do or because again that's what identifies, well, if you're a good wife, that's what you do, or if you're a good host, or if you're a this, we get to redefine the rules for like what makes us good.
So then how do you navigate the feelings after that if you're redefining the rules? For example, the tea thing, right? You're right, it's my parents, and it was the way that my dad showed my mum love. It was the only thing that I'm telling that story that he did for her, right? And so the whole tea thing is in my brain a whole like love thing.
So then
Right?
you're connecting. So it's like, okay, I look at so T equals love. And then I would say, so is that actually true? Well, no. So what
No.
are the ways that I actually want to choose to express love? And so then when I choose to express love in the ways that feel true and aligned for me, to be honest, it's going to stop feeling like T equals love, because there's going to be so many other things that equal love. And you'll start to see that it's like, oh, T doesn't actually equal love, but it's just what I've known equals love. And so I, again, get into this like ritual or pattern or this thing, but it's not even truly mine. So it comes back to full ownership and also knowing it's probably going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable if you've always done something and then you just stop doing it. It's going to maybe be met with resistance. Like, why didn't she make me tea today? And that other person on the other side might be like, did I piss her off? Does she not like me? Does she not love me? Does she not? And it's like, no, like I actually, and like, then you can express it if you want. Like, I actually just sat with this for myself and I realized that I'm making you tea because I'm making it mean this about me. And actually, this is how I want to express my love to you. So like, let's go do that instead. So it's again, that ownership, but it will feel uncomfortable.
Okay. So in that transition period, because what I don't want to then start to do is have all feelings of guilt and shame and, all that in the discomfort.
And that's where it's like looking at like, okay, so then, okay, now I'm feeling guilt about this. Like, again, so what's the guilt like meaning here? And I believe like feelings like guilt, shame, we're here to transcend. So when guilt comes in, it's actually a huge sign to choose something different, because I mean, guilt is also like human man-made. And so if it doesn't truly exist, it's like, okay, so what I'm doing right now is by making the tea so that I don't feel guilt is actually allowing guilt to live in my world, but in a subconscious frequency.
So avoidance
Yeah.
of guilt.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that's what I said earlier. Like, I think I used the Netflix example, but like if we're avoiding something, then it's not frequency of truth. So you're not making tea in the
Okay.
frequency of truth. You're making tea in the frequency of avoidance.
Of guilt. And not being the good girl. Not being the good wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll have Tiffiney and Shakti come up and then we'll shift into the energy clearing. Hello. Oh, you're still muted. Hold on.
Yeah, it doesn't let us unmute ourselves, which is a good thing. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. So I'm asking this question. I'm not sure if it's I'm going to try and articulate it in a way. I'm not sure if it's a question or a statement, but it definitely belongs here. And I think probably other people feel this way too, if I'm feeling this way. So I'm being brave and asking the question. First of all, this like whole words are spelled, like I have a whole body of work around this, and it's like, straight to my heart. You're speaking my language, like in so many ways.
I
And
love it.
so I have a course that I wrote like back in 2019, probably, and it was called The Wand in the Word, right? So it's all about the magic in words. And when I saw you doing this, I was like, like, and then I just wanted to be vulnerable and share this. So I feel like I live in the get to frequency. And then when somebody else, like, you are at a different level than I am, and I'm just having the courage to step back out here again. And I'm like, oh, it's already being done. And so I know other people feel this way, right? So I've kind of broken through levels of this where it's like, just because, like, how many lawyers are there in the world? How many doctors? There's not one person doing this body of work, right?
Yeah.
But I know I must not be the only one doing that, right? Like, so it's like, okay, and so I don't know if I'm asking to be witnessed. Like, I get to be at the beginning again. Like, beginner's mind is where like life is all these cycles of like starting over again. But like, so I'm all good to go in the get to frequency. And then I shrink back when I see somebody who, like, I guess I'm a fangirl. I think you're fucking amazing. Really days when it comes to your retreats. But like, so when I'm getting in my get to frequency and I'm all riled up, and then I'm like, oh shit, they're doing it. And I know it's just a moment, right? It's just a moment. But like,
Yeah.
what's your advice for that? For like, that's why I'm really new in the community. And I think that's why I'm so excited to be here. Like, I'm just really like grateful and yeah, that other people are paving the path ahead of me and I get to be at the table as well. But there's still that, like, I don't want to hurt people. So I guess the tie-in for me is I don't want to hurt people. Somebody asked, like, what about when my truth hurts people? Like, I want to make sure, like, I don't ever step on somebody's toes. And there's this fear that I'm going to hurt other people by being big. I don't know if that's making sense.
Yeah. So here's like my honest truth with it is that you're probably going to step on somebody else's toes. There's going to be someone who feels like you copied them. There's going to be somebody who doesn't like what you do. Like it just is. And I'm going to tell you why. We tap into like universal wisdom, collective wisdom. And so I can tell you like so many experiences where like literally I've witnessed this with Melanie. I've had this experience with Melanie where it's like we don't even tell each other and then we name our course the same thing. Like years ago, I remember Shannon, Melanie's sister who creates the branding. I had asked her to create branding for me called The Channel about this course I was running. And like after 2 weeks, she got back to me. She's like, it's just so hard to create something I've already created. And I was like, what do you mean you're already created? She's like, well, Melanie has an offering called The Channel. And I was like, I had no idea. Like, and like, that's just like one example. I have another example. I was leading a free masterclass and somebody when I was live, she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, I love this. She's like, and I can tell that you studied with this person because like you're saying the exact same thing as this person. And I was like, I have no idea who this, like still to this day, I don't even know the person's name because I have no idea who this person is. Like, we each have unique wisdom and like, we don't own the wisdom. Like this isn't,
Totally.
and I know that you get that, but I think it's like really reminding ourselves of that. And so, yes, there's going to be I mean, I think the real thing here is in the get to frequency is that we don't compare, that we don't compete. Like I get to be me and she gets to be her. And knowing that the way that you word things, I think Melanie just talked about this the other day, actually, the way that you word things, like it's gonna resonate for some and not others. And then you and I could both literally say the same thing, and some people are gonna be like, Tiffany's my girl, and some people are gonna be like, Jacqueline's my girl. And it doesn't mean anything about me, the people who say Tiffany's my girl, and it doesn't mean anything about you, the people that say Jacqueline's my girl, and it doesn't mean anything about either one of us, the people that say like these chicks are out of their freaking mind, like what are they on? Like none of it means anything. So it's just like deeper ownership of just like, this is who I am, this is my truth, I'm willing to be the full expression of it. I get to put my unique frequency, flavor, tongue on it. And when I do that, when I allow myself to be the fullest expression of who I am, it gets to resonate with those it's meant to resonate with.
Thank you. It's when you were talking the other day about the and, right? I had this like vision of like a wand, because like you were talking about expand, right? And I love to look for words inside of words. So like if you look at the word belief, like this is all about dismantling beliefs, right? And in the middle of the word, whether you write belief or believe, write it down, is the word lie, right? It's all about like what we believe is all about finding the lies that we tell each other and all of these things. But yeah, it is the frequency of truth, right? It's like
Like
that's what.
just
Yeah,
there,
go
I'm gonna
ahead.
that's so cool to me because I lead a program called Belief Codes. Like I talk about belief codes, I talk about the lies that we tell ourselves. I've never thought of that before. And so like right there, it's like, ooh, like that feels fun. That's something that you use that I don't use. Like, and even though we may be saying similar things, it's like we're gonna have different expressions of it. Like that to me was just like, ooh, yeah, like zing.
It's interesting because in the group I've really felt like I've been in a lot of masterminds, and this one I just have to say, like, it's true. I've never been in a group where people are owning their stuff as much as they are here. Like I've been searching for this. I've been in masterminds, and it's always like people kind of like they're comfortable, and you know we're all, I'm going to hit my own as well, but yeah, I am really grateful, so thank you. Yes, I'm excited to be here.
Also, thank you for like you said, other people I'm sure have this question and that this felt vulnerable for you. So thank you for the willingness
It
to come up
is because you
and to
want to
own
be
it.
there, but I do. I just feel like, you know, I'm farther along than some people, and it's just like, you know, how do we make that energy like, you know, everybody's welcome here, like the universe, talking about words, universe. It's one song, but we all have our note to play in that song. So, anyways, okay, here you are
Yeah,
witnessing me at the
yeah,
beginning.
and even the like, this is where I often look to like, where do I put any like label or judgment? Like further along, further behind, beginning. It's like we are just each here on our journey, and we're at different points in our journey. And this is why when we talked about like multiple truths coexisting, it's like I'm at a point in my journey where like this is my truth. You're at a point in your journey where this is your truth, and so it's about owning truth. And again, it's just like, it's just the journey. It's just part of the journey. It's the experiencing, it's the wisdom, like, and that brings in the get to frequency. And so I get to share from that energy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Shakti.
Hi. Hi, Jack. Thank you so much for um, this call. I am a very, very, very sensitive soul with a very sensitive body. And I'm intuitive channel, and I'm clearing kind of lifetimes of trauma where my voice was shut down. And the way, excuse me, it plays out in my business is that it prevents me from really kind of writing content that is completely my truth. And it's not that it's a very unconscious pattern, like, and you know, it's a constant evolution too. So I would love to get your recommendation on how I work through this in that internal freeze that I feel it, and
Yeah.
unconsciously something else comes.
Yeah. So this is going to actually lead us quite beautifully into the energy clearing and the activation, because for me, it really is this full ownership. And if we're talking in context of get to frequency, it's like we've got to code in like these energies of like, I get to be fully who I am. I get to be the fullest expression of self and not put anything behind that. Not, and it's not this, it's not safe, or it's not accepted, or it's not this. It may be, like I said earlier, it may be uncomfortable to be the fullest expression of who you are. That's what you came here to do. You came here to be the fullest expression of who you are. And so the things that create interference with that are because of our human conditioning and our human experiences. That's what we're going to clear away as we begin this activation.
I just have one last follow-up on that. I feel like the self is what gets interfered the most. Like when in the moments you forget who you are, and then this like other interference takes over, and then you have a post written, which is like, wait a minute, 2 days later, oh, I said that. Oh, I was trying to fit into a template. Okay. So how do you stay anchored on that identity without the wobbles happening along the way?
So the thing is that it's going to wobble along the way. You're going to forget. Now, remember the beginning of this training, it's that it's what we make it mean about us. And so for me, anytime I forget, I allow it to expand me. I allow it to feel powerful because I then own that the forgetting leads to the deeper remembrance. And so it's part of it. It's part of the journey. And this is what we try to resist. And this is what we often try to avoid, the forgetting. But if the forgetting is ultimately leading us deeper in the remembrance, can I embrace the forgetting versus shaming myself or feeling guilty or thinking I effed it up? It's like, oh, wait, I forgot in order to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I think I got my answer. There's expectation and control about things have to be just one way, which
They have
so
to be one way. We have to be perfect. We have,
yeah,
to spiral into
yeah.
some of the other conversations. We have to be perfect. We have to be the good girl. We have to follow the rules. We have to do that, blah, blah, blah. All the have tos, the shoulds, the need tos versus I'm a human having a human experience. I'm going to fail. I'm going to F it up. I'm going to go backwards. Sometimes it's all in part of the journey of growth and evolution. And the less I try to resist or avoid, the more rapidly and the more I'm going to have those quantum leaps and like grow and evolve and expand because I'm not in avoidance.
I don't know, like I can deal with void, but when it hits the identity, like that is the hardest, most painful experience ever. You got any like tips for dealing with that pain? So it's like the void of not knowing who I am is worse of the void of not knowing what I need to create or what my purpose is.
Way of not knowing who I am. So, I mean, this for me feels like stop telling yourself the lie that you don't know who you are. Like it may not, you may not like know how to describe it, but like anytime you come back here and you're going to experience this. You're going to experience this in the next 30 minutes as we drop into this activation. You know, we all know, because who you are is a child of the divine. Who you are is a divine being, a divine soul.
Yeah.
Come back here again and again and again. Okay, we're gonna drop in now. We're gonna drop into this energy clearing and this activation. So if we can turn our videos off so you can be in full receiving frequency. We're gonna start to play the music so we can drop in here together. Taking a moment. One moment, knowing that this is all it takes, a moment of connection to decide, to choose, to tune in, feel the divine essence within you, to experience the truth of who you are, connecting to the frequency of my voice, the frequency of the music. Dropping out of your mind, into your body, into your being. Connecting to you and your truth, you and your sacred wisdom, you and the breath of life that flows from within you. And as you're ready, I invite you to bring up a white screen in your mind's eye. Allow this white screen to be placed before you. See it, feel it, trust in it, know that it exists there for you to utilize during this clearing. Start to place any thoughts, any stories, any experiences, any lies that you tell yourself that shifts you out of this get to frequency. Anything that you think you should do, need to do, have to do, must do, place it on this white screen. Anything that you do in the frequency of people pleasing, anything that you do for external validation, anything that you do because it's too uncomfortable not to do. Allow it to be brought forward, placing it on this white screen before you. Anything that you're making anything mean about you. Bring it forward, allow it to shift, allow it to move. Anything that you tell yourself that's not in alignment with the get to frequency, if you tell yourself you don't know how, you don't know who you are, you don't get to. Anything and all things that are creating limitation or distortion in this energy field, preventing you from fully accessing the get to frequency. The choices that you've made or that you're currently making that bring up shame or guilt because you choose to put yourself first. Anything that brings up shame or guilt because you're doing things in ways that have not been modeled to you. Anything that makes you question who you are, what you get to experience. Anything that makes you question if you are the way. Bring it forward and place it on this white screen. A willingness to see the distortions, to see the lies that you tell yourself. A willingness to see the illusions. Allow us to shift them. that you're in a space that's safe. You're being held in the frequency of love, allowing yourself to drop a little bit deeper in your subconscious, deeper in your soul level awareness. Bringing forward any ties that are ready to be cut. Bringing forward anything that you've told yourself you need to do in order to receive. Anything you have to do, should do, are meant to do. Bringing forward those illusions, those stories, the ones that sound like, I don't get to have it all. I can't have my cake and eat it too. I'm not deserving, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy. Bringing it forward and placing it on this white screen as we get ready to clear it away. In a few more moments here, see where your mind tries to step in, where your mind tries to take control, where your mind tries to trick you, telling you, no, 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 but you have to, you need to, you should, you must. Release it all. See the distortion in the frequency of need. Isn't a scene from your mind, but a scene from your soul level awareness, the depth of your truth, the depth of your knowing, the depth of your being. Allowing it all to come forward, up and out onto this white screen. And as you're ready, bringing forward your sacred yes to wipe the screen away, to clear the energy, to cut the energetic ties, removing the limitation from your energy field, removing the distortions, removing the illusions, removing the limitation, removing all that no longer serves you. Dismantling the frequency of should, need, have to in this very moment. Your sacred yes, your willingness to do so. Now that we've cleared away, we get to step in full power, in full ownership of who we are. As divine beings who came here to experience all that is, to experience life all ways and all the ways, to receive all ways and all the ways, because you're a child of God, a child of the divine, a child of the universe. Simply because you get to. You get to because you are. Get to because you choose. Get to because you've chosen and you are chosen. Get to be the one. Get to go first. You get to do it your way. get to say no. You get to say yes. You get to do it in the realm of certainty and in the realm of uncertainty. You get to choose to allow your soul to lead. You get to operate the divinity within you. Get to operate in the frequency of trust. You get to be exactly who you came here to be. You get to express yourself freely. You get to be the truth of who you are. You get to shout it from the rooftops. You get to allow yourself to be witnessed just as you are. You get to grow. You get to evolve. You get to expand. You get to allow your truth to grow, to evolve, to expand. You get to choose what you make anything mean. You get to give freely. You get to do freely. You get to receive freely, one not being dependent on the other. Get to because I am. I am because I am, rooted in truth, rooted in knowing of who you are, of who I am, of who we are. I get to choose anew. I get to choose again. I get to operate the frequency of now. I get to break old patterns. I get to dismantle old beliefs. I get to witness the lies I tell myself. And I get to align to new truth. I get to choose again and again and again. In my power, in divine remembrance, I get to forget and I get to remember. And I get to make it not mean anything because I know who I am. I am a powerful creator. I am the voice of divinity. I am the one. I am the way. Allowing these words, allowing this energy to anchor in. Allowing yourself to fully feel, to fully experience the here and now. Fully activating your power, your voice, the codes within you to say, I get to. I get to always in all the ways. I get to without attachment. I get to because I get to. Again, you and your power, you with your wisdom, you and your voice, bringing forward your sacred yes to fully activate the get to frequency in your body, in your being, in your energy fields, allowing the get to frequency to ripple within and around you. I get to because I choose to. My sacred yes activates this. As you're ready, gently bringing yourself back, bringing your awareness into this space, into this room. Gratitude and honoring who you are, what you've just experienced. Feeling the energy that's already shifted. As you've allowed the code of I get to land. Thank you so much for being here with me. Words are spells. This is just the beginning. I will see you where I see you next.